Hey everyone! Welcome back to Bite-Sized Books, your go-to place for quick, powerful book summaries that inspire real change. The Color Purple by Alice Walker is a profound exploration of resilience, identity, and transformation. We begin with a look at the author. Alice Walker is a distinguished American author, poet, and activist, best known for her groundbreaking novel, The Color Purple, published in 1982. This work earned her the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction and the National Book Award for Fiction in 1983. Walker is celebrated for her eloquent advocacy on issues of race, gender, and social justice, as well as her deep exploration of African American culture and history. Her early works include poetry collections like Once and Revolutionary Petunias and Other Poems, and her first novel, The Third Life of Grange, Copeland. Her literary career centers on themes of race, gender, and the lives of African American women, exploring the intersections of these identities and the challenges their characters face. Beyond The Color Purple, Walker's novels such as Meridian and Possessing the Secret of Joy, along with essay collections like In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose, and short story collections like You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down, have left a lasting impact. Her work significantly shapes American literature, particularly through its focus on African American women's experiences, and continues to be studied for its contributions to discussions on race, gender, and intersectionality. The Color Purple has been adapted into a successful film directed by Steven Spielberg and a Tony Award-winning Broadway musical, cementing its cultural and literary significance. Walker's influence extends beyond literature. She is a key figure in Black feminism and the womanist movement, inspiring ongoing discussions about identity and social justice. The title, The Color Purple, carries profound symbolic weight, intricately tied to the novel's themes and emotional core. Purple represents not just a color, but a metaphor for the protagonist Celie's journey of growth and transformation. In the novel, purple symbolizes the beauty of the natural world, which Celie learns to appreciate over time. Early in her life, Celie's harsh circumstances blind her to this beauty, but her growing awareness of it, as symbolized by purple, mirrors her path to self-discovery and empowerment. Shug Avery, a pivotal character, teaches Celie that ignoring the beauty of purple in a field angers God, emphasizing the importance of valuing the world's wonders as a way to honor existence and spirituality. Purple also signifies suffering and bruising, reflecting the abuse Celie endures from her father and husband. Yet, as the story progresses, purple evolves into a symbol of resilience and beauty rather than just pain. Historically associated with royalty and spirituality, purple underscores Celie's transformation from an oppressed individual to a woman who commands dignity and strength. Her spiritual journey shifts from a fear-based view of God to a more expansive, loving spirituality, further highlighted by this symbolism. Ultimately, the title encapsulates the novel's themes: the interplay of beauty and pain, the attainment of personal sovereignty, and the journey toward a self-defined life. It urges readers to recognize beauty in everyday moments, delivering a powerful message about resilience and redemption central to Celie's arc. The Color Purple is an epistolary novel set in the early 20th century American South, chronicling the life of Celie, an African American woman, over several decades. The story begins with Celie's letters to God, where, at just 14, she reveals the sexual abuse she suffers from her father, Alfonso, who gives away her 2 children. Believing her mother dead, Celie is married off to an abusive man she calls Mr. or Albert, who originally sought her younger sister, Nettie. Nettie escapes Alfonso's house to live with Celie and Albert, but flees when Albert makes advances toward her, promising to write, but leaving Celie believing she's dead after no letters arrive. Unbeknownst to Celie, Albert hides Nettie's letters. Change arrives with Shug Avery, a bold blues singer Albert loves. When Shug falls ill, Celie nurses her, forming a deep bond that evolves into love and mentorship. Shug helps Celie discover her strength, revealing Nettie's hidden letters, which show Nettie's life as a missionary in Africa, with a couple, Samuel and Corinne, and her observations of colonial impacts on the Olinka people. Emboldened by Shug and Nettie's letters, Celie confronts Albert, leaves him, and moves to Memphis with Shug, starting a successful pants-making business that symbolizes her independence. Albert, left alone, transforms into a humbler man and eventually becomes Celie's friend. Celie learns Alfonso was her stepfather, her real father lynched, and inherits her family's land and house. The novel climaxes with Nettie's return from Africa with Samuel and Celie's children, following the death of Albert's oppressive father. Celie, now surrounded by loved ones, finds peace, having reconciled with Albert and others. The novel explores Celie's transformation from silence to empowerment, addressing racial and gender oppression, the power of sisterhood, and the redemptive force of love and family. Critically, The Color Purple is a landmark in American literature, lauded for its emotional depth, vivid characters, and advocacy for feminism and racial equality. Published in 1982, it won the Pulitzer Prize and National Book Award in 1983, affirming its influence. Its epistolary structure, primarily Celie's letters to God and later Nettie, creates an intimate, confessional tone, giving readers direct access to Celie's inner world. Walker's use of African American Vernacular English, AAVE, lends authenticity, grounding characters in their cultural and linguistic context. The novel tackles themes like self-identity, women's resilience, sisterhood, and overcoming oppressive structures. Celie's arc from victim to empowered woman comments on gender and power dynamics, with relationships with Shug and Sophia catalyzing her growth. The novel confronts racism, depicting discrimination within and beyond African American communities, while showing characters navigating these barriers. Walker explores sexual identity with empathy, portraying love as inclusive and liberating. Celie's evolving spirituality, from a patriarchal god to a pantheistic view, mirrors her empowerment. However, the novel faced criticism, particularly from some African American scholars who argued its portrayal of black men as abusive, reinforced negative stereotypes. Defenders counter that Walker depicts specific social realities, not generalizations. The novel's cultural impact is vast, with Spielberg's film and the Broadway musical amplifying its reach. Set against the Jim Crow era's racial segregation and gender inequality, it reflects historical realities while offering a nuanced lens on race, gender, and class intersectionality. The novel's historical context, spanning the early 1900s to the 1940s, is marked by Jim Crow laws enforcing racial segregation and disenfranchisement. African Americans faced systemic discrimination, denied voting rights, and lived under the threat of violence from groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Black women, in particular, endured compounded oppression from racial and gender norms, confining them to domestic roles. The Great Migration, where millions of African Americans moved north and west for better opportunities, is reflected in characters like Harpo and discussions of escaping the South. Nettie's African subplot connects African American experiences to African colonialism, commenting on imperialism and cultural identity. Walker's use of AAVE authenticates characters' voices, resisting dominant cultural narratives that marginalized such dialects. The epistolary structure and simple, direct language emphasize Celie's naivety and transformation. Purple's symbolism, beauty, pain, and growth pervades the narrative, celebrating resilience. The Color Purple challenges literary norms by centering black women's voices, making a bold statement about whose stories matter in literature. Key questions deepen our understanding. First, Celie's relationship with Shug evolves from admiration to a transformative romantic bond. Shug's fling with Germaine tests Celie's emotional resilience, marking her growth towards self-sufficiency. Second, the novel's ending portrays a harmonious world with redefined gender roles, empowering women and fostering mutual respect. However, its idealized resolution may oversimplify systemic issues. Third, Sophia's defiance and imprisonment highlight resilience and racial injustice, inspiring Celie. Fourth, Celie's letters to God share first-person authenticity and themes of oppression with 1930s slave narratives, but differ in their fictional epistolary format and focus on personal empowerment. Finally, Sophia's Hell No to Miss Millie's Maid offer rejects racial condescension, asserting her autonomy against systemic oppression.